That's Peter. Sorry. So our next speaker I met at the Fixit clinic at the Albany Community Center last year. I had heard about him for a long time and tried to track it down where I could go to one, and Albany holds them all the time. So thank you for Albany doing that. So he is the founder of FixitClinic.org, which hosts assisted self-repair events around the U.S. Their tagline is guided disassembly of your broken stuff. Over 70 plus Fixit Clinic events have been held nationwide. He does not get paid for this. He doesn't make a lot of money off this. He goes all around the country doing this because he wants to. Minnesota, Massachusetts, Colorado, Tennessee, Oregon, and of course in the Bay Area all the time. They're hosted by municipal and county governments along with independent recycling and environmental organizations. Please welcome Peter Mui.
So I'll just cut to the chase. I'd love to have you guys organize as many Fixit clinics, and we'll help you. And this presentation is basically to show you it's really not that hard. So this is what I'm hoping to cover, so that means about 2 minutes approximately per section. And these pictures come from two sources, primarily the Fixit clinics that we've had as pop-ups around the San Francisco Bay Area, and from our most successful franchise, which is Hennepin County Environmental Services. Hennepin County encompasses Minneapolis, Minnesota, and its environs. And so they run it out of the county services there, and they're just kicking butt. All right, first tip, do it on a Saturday or a Sunday, midday. You want to do it on a weekend. I'd say my main demographic is the precocious middle schooler. It's the kid in the family who inherits all the stuff that the family has that's broken, and they can become the hero if he or she can get the toaster oven working again. So you want to set it up at a time when they can come and participate. Here's an inside of one of our Fixit clinics in Albany. Notice we have AC power. We have good light, natural light of course is ideal. We have big tables for people to work on. And the most important thing is a floor that if a screw drops on it, you can find it. This is at the Lawrence Hall of Science, same thing. One thing I did with the Lawrence Hall of Science is Lawrence Hall of Science science museums are pretty expensive to get into. And I basically said, okay, well if we're going to have a Fixit clinic up there, we're going to basically make it so that, the people who are coming to the Fixit clinic, they're going to be part of the public programming that day. So anyone who presents at the front desk, at the admissions desk with something to repair should get in for free. And they turned that into a marketing campaign that they've moved forward on. We participated in iFixit Patagonia stuff. We would love to do more fabric repair, incorporate more of that into our programming. We see lots of sewing machines. We'd love to figure out some way to sort of add a fabric component as well. All right, so for summarization, where do you want to have a Fixit clinic? Indoors, so that you don't drop a screw into the grass. You want electricity, Wi-Fi, and water, because a lot of people bring coffee makers or espresso machines, and you need water to make sure they're working again, or to figure out how they're broken. Libraries, community centers, museums. I would add to that, there's a rising number of hacker spaces and maker spaces. Those would be good places to hold them as well. And I really think it's important to have it free to participants. Okay, these guys are just great. You can't do Fixit clinics without them. The Fixit coaches are your main core resource. Richard on the right actually flew on his own dime to Minneapolis with me to start to launch the Fixit clinics there. I mean, these guys are the core of your program. Where do you find them? I think if your local library has a computer help night, if there's a local church that maybe has a rummage sale and there's somebody there who works on stuff for them before they have the rummage sale, those people are out there and they're waiting for an opportunity for an event like this, honestly. I mean, my experience, once you have the first Fixit clinic, if you've advertised it properly, they'll just come like flies to honey. I mean, they'll just be all over your Fixit clinic. And what I've also found, which is really nice, is they've become fast friends. And being part of Fixit Clinic is part of that. So in Hennepin County now, they have 30 to 40 coaches showing up for every event, okay, which is a ton of people. All right, tools. So I said on the other side there that the coaches will bring their own tools, and they will. And a lot of coaches like me, I have tools to share too. So I have a box of tools that I throw out in the middle table, and people come and work on their stuff from that toolbox. But if I was going to be on a desert island and could only have 2 things to bring with me, I'd bring the iFixit 54-bit toolkit on the upper. And then what you find is that a lot of consumer electronics have these recessed screws, really deeply recessed screws. And so the one toolkit that your coaches might not have that you can get on Amazon for about under 30 bucks is the one on the lower right, which has these really long bit ends so that you can get deep into something to take a screw out. Once we got that, there was really no consumer manufactured item that we couldn't unscrew get that. Okay, work with the venue to promote. So like I said, the Lawrence Hall of Science gave free admission to anybody who presented with an item to be fixed. And they were able to advertise that on SF Fun Sheet and got an enormous number of people into the museum. And then there's sort of traditional flyers like on the right-hand side. And then I love the one on the left-hand side, come to the Fixit Clinic, stay for the music on the ice. Okay, so Fixit Clinic's different from a lot of these other repair initiatives because we don't fix it for you. You're the person who has to take it apart. And so our wording over time has been crafted to sort of say that pretty carefully, okay? And the red words that I have down there, okay? Disassembly and possible repair. Okay, you don't want people showing up with this expectation that you're actually going to be able to fix it. It turns out serendipitously that that's what happens. About 70% of the stuff goes home fixed, or with an excellent prognosis for repair, we just don't have the part on hand. But you want to make sure that the kind of people that, so it's not for everybody. Okay, you don't want people buying stuff, broken stuff at Goodwill and carting it into your Fixit Clinic to be repaired by a coach. You basically want them to be actively engaged in their own repair. This is the check-in from Hennepin County. So they have a waiver form, they have badges for the volunteers and coaches, they have a check-in computer. We don't do any of this, we don't have enough, we're just more like winging it. But they also have a scale, and we'll get back to that scale in a minute. Since it's Hennepin County Environmental Services, they're weighing stuff. Okay, on the day of, have a greeter. Have a person who stands there and welcomes each person. The provenance of the item and its repair and how it failed is really important, so don't deny people that. Okay, so it's almost like an AA meeting. Hi, my name's Ted, this is my DVD player, this man, it fails in this way. Okay, Ted, we think the problem is this, right? And then the other thing you can do is when you see each item, then you can say, oh, there's already another person working on a DVD player over there. Go work with them. Okay, so you can start to group like items together, and so even if one person's thing doesn't get fixed, they see other things getting fixed. And it really kind of, creates a kind of a fixing party kind of environment. Here's an example. She showed up with her hand mixer, and she had painted a frowny face on it before she showed up. After we fixed it, we said, hey, so you got to put a smiley face on it. And rejoice and fix it. Here's Martin. He's about to gong these Tibetan bells that we celebrate. Another reason why we have people fix it themselves is because you don't want to deny people that epiphany when the thing starts working again. And they're like, holy cow, I had given this thing up for lost, and here it is, and it's resurrected. It's like Easter every time you fix it. Okay, there is a possibility you will be too popular. That's a good thing. Okay, but what do you do when that happens? So the two things you do is your Fixit coaches really can't work with people one-on-one. I try as much as possible to tell them, look, you got to float so that to help as many people as possible. They can't help it. They just love helping people, so they deep dive all the time. But you scale them back because you can't give people one-on-one attention if you're crowded. And then the other thing is you say to people, and people show up late. People show up with a very complicated repair and you're about to close in half an hour and you say, look, we can't really deal with that today, but why don't you go look at other stuff that's being repaired? Just get a sense of, there are other people repairing toasters. Why don't you look at how they're working on their toasters and you might get some ideas on how to fix yours. So do consulting as opposed to actually engaging in repair right then and there. And we'll ask them to come back. And do consulting that doesn't involve actually taking it apart. Okay, so the press loves this. Minneapolis Fixit Clinics has been on CNN headline news. They've been on the local TV stations multiple times. Minneapolis is a reasonably large media market. They've been in the newspaper over and over again. They've got the reporters following them at this point. We've had KQED was at our Fixit Clinic. We had Saturday in Oakland. So, my tagline that I use, you can make up your own, but all this material I'm happy to share with you. It's education, entertainment, empowerment, elucidation, and ultimately enlightenment, all through guided disassembly of your broken stuff. So these programs have an opportunity to sort of transform your relationship with the people you serve, and with the public, with the politicians that they elect, and with the press. And so this is an example from San Francisco Fixit clinic we had. That's, anyone know who that is before I tell you? Yeah, Supervisor Eric Marr, who showed up with his black MacBook, which I showed him how to take apart. And so once they find out that you're doing this, once the public gets wind of this, and you'll just sort of see sort of the visibility of your department just shoot way up. I mean, Nancy Lowe in Hennepin County in Minneapolis has been nominated for numerous awards, environmental awards. Her department's gotten all sorts of acclaim for having been part of this program. Okay, so for you numbers heads, they actually kept data. Remember I said about the scale? We don't do this, okay? But I was pretty impressed with this. So in the 18 Fixit clinics that they've had so far, the two takeaways is they've fixed 70% of the stuff, which sort of corroborates what we've experienced locally. And they've returned almost 4 tons of consumer electronics back into service. But we're not done there, okay? I mean, ultimately our goal is, it's one thing to fix people's things one at a time. I mean, obviously we're trying to move further back and upstream. We'd love to get to a place where we have manufacturers start to think about providing service manuals, like Kate said, manufacturing for repair, and then ultimately to sort of think about reclaiming our power as consumers. To basically say, no, we're not going to buy the same junky toaster over and over and over again. If you want to sell us something new, sell us something that we really want to have. Give us goods and services that we really want to have, like a fine car, as opposed to me having to buy a toaster. Okay. And that's it. So I'll take questions.